Welcome to Jerusalem News.
I'm Audrey.
I'm Scarlett, and today our top story is a crime scene that's being investigated.
Jesus, the man who was crucified 3 days ago and was buried, is missing.
We are going to go live with a detective investigating this mysterious crime.
He's questioning the Roman guards assigned to the tomb. Detective?
How's it going, guys?
Hi, sir.
Detective Johnny Briscoe. I'm with the governor's office.
Yes, sir.
Trying to figure out what happened here at the tomb of Jesus of Nazareth. Do you got a second?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Alright. So, when were you assigned to guard this tomb, you and your unit?
We were assigned 3 days ago, sir.
Who assigned you?
The governor assigned us, sir.
Alright, so I heard you guys sealed this tomb. How did you seal it?
Well, the stone was already put in place when we came, sir, and we sealed it with cement and a rope and the Roman seal.
Now, you know, people in this part of the world, they don't normally seal tombs, and they don't normally have the Roman guards sealing their tombs, so why did you seal up this one?
The Pharisees asked us to seal it in case the disciples came and stole the body.
Alright. So, let me get this straight. So we got a 2-ton stone, we've got cement seal, we've got a rope. This is where I start getting confused about your story. So what was your story again?
The disciples stole the body while we were asleep.
Okay. That's what I thought it was. So, do you normally fall asleep on watch?
No.
I'm trying to remember my days in the Roman Guard. Now, what happens if you fall asleep on watch?
You can get beaten, sir, along with your unit, or burned or killed.
Yeah, they'll kill your whole unit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Huh. So that sounds pretty severe. You sure you fell asleep?
The disciples stole the body while we were asleep.
Yeah, that story. I've heard that a few times now. I'm a little confused too. You're pretty sure about that, but how did you see them steal the body if you were asleep?
The Pharisees told us to say that.
I knew it. What really happened? Where's the body?
We saw 2 women walking down the road.
Okay, what day?
The morning of the 3rd day. And there was an earthquake. And we saw a light coming from the sky. And that light moved the stone and sat on it.
What did that light look like?
The light looked like an angel. And its appearance was like lightning. And its clothes were white as snow.
Well, then what happened?
So then we passed out. Because we were afraid. And when we woke up, the body was gone and no one was here. So we ran to the Pharisees to tell them. And they gave us money to say that the disciples stole the body.
Is that all you know?
That's all I know. May I please go?
Well, I got one more question. The head linen in there, the linen that was used to wrap up Jesus, the linen that was around his head's all folded up nicely. Did you do that?
No, sir.
Alright, so let me get this straight before you walk away. A light that looked like an angel came out of the sky after an earthquake, the second one that we've had in 3 days. The light picks up the stone, moves it, sits on it, and when you wake up, body's gone, head linen's folded nicely, and that's all you know.
Yes, that is all we know.
Alright.
May we please go?
I'll try not to reflect in my report how badly you did your job. Get out of here.
Come on, guys, come on.
Well, looks like I need to go find these two women from the road. I need to go find some more eyewitnesses that saw what happened to Jesus.
Wow, a missing body from a sealed tomb.
Thank you, Detective.
Looks like you have some more witnesses to question, so we'll keep following this case.
Thank you for joining Jerusalem News.
Now a special message from our directors.
Well,
All right, deeply rooted Sunday school, welcome back.
how we doing? So we're learning a lot from our detective who's on the beat, trying to figure out what's going on in Jerusalem. So it's an interesting thing about detectives. They need evidence. That's their whole job, is to go find evidence of something happening. And as we find out, our detective is finding a lot of evidence that there was a miraculous happening at the tomb of Jesus. So Jesus said in John, the Gospel of John, those who believe without seeing are blessed. We didn't see Jesus' tomb empty out. We weren't there when the stone was miraculously rolled away and Jesus walked out. But we have evidence of it. We have evidence from hundreds of years before Jesus walked the earth. We have eyewitness accounts from people,
Which we'll learn about next week.
which we'll learn about more next week. And we are blessed because we get to have faith in this event without having to see it.
So we want to teach you or talk about two reasons why it is important why Jesus was risen from the dead. Because it's very important, but we can talk about it. It's a question that you might be asking. Why is that even important? So we're going to give you two reasons why it is important that Jesus raised from the dead.
So first off, it's according to the scriptures. So Paul in 1 Corinthians 15, and if you were in Sparks, in Awana, you would remember this verse, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to the scriptures. So the question is, well, what scriptures? What are we talking about? Well, we're talking Old Testament. And so hundreds of years before Jesus walked the earth, he was prophesied that he was going to come, he was going to teach, he was going to be killed, and that he was going to rise again. If we look in Isaiah 25:8, and actually if we start with 7, Isaiah the prophet talking about God, saying that on this mountain he will destroy the shroud that enfolds all people, the sheet that covers all nations. He will swallow up death forever. And that's what Jesus did in the tomb. He was dead. He died on the cross. It was proven when they put the spear into him. And then he swallowed up death forever. Another scripture from Isaiah 53, where the prophet writes in 10 and 11, "Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer, and though the Lord makes his life a guilt offering, he will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hands. After the suffering of his soul, he will see the light of life and be satisfied." So guys, it wasn't just like some random occurrence. This was already talked about, that God had shared this with the prophet Isaiah hundreds of years before Jesus walked the earth.
All right, number 2. Are you saved because of Jesus' death or resurrection, or both? So, would your salvation even exist if Jesus died but did not come back to life? So Paul in 1 Corinthians says that there's no atonement, there's no payment for your sin without the resurrection. So if Jesus had been raised, then we too have a hope for our resurrection. And it doesn't mean necessarily that we're going to die and then come back alive the same way that Jesus did, but it means that someday Jesus is going to come back to earth and take all the believers up to heaven. And so by him and his resurrection, we have hope that when we die, we don't just stay dead, that we as believers in Jesus go and be with him. So it wasn't enough for Jesus to die. He had to actually defeat that final enemy, which is death. So because Jesus rose, we are assured that each of us who are in him will also be raised with him. So that's the very important part, is that's why. That's two reasons why Jesus rose from the dead. According to the scriptures, it was to fulfill scripture, and it's that second part. It's to give us hope for a future with him.
Awesome.
Okay, if you have questions about this, if you have not accepted Jesus and would like to, you can message the Cavins or any other leader.
We'd love to call and talk to you about it more.
Yeah, and we hope you have a great Resurrection Sunday, and we'll see you next week. For the next few weeks, we're going to be going back with this detective and looking at eyewitnesses to Jesus' resurrection account. So it's going to be pretty fun.
He's a pretty cool detective.
The crime scene, ready to go for next week. All right, guys, happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Bye. Okay, what's the question?
Why did you seal it? You don't normally seal tombs in this part of the world.
The Pharisees. Stop looking at me. Pharisees. Pharisees asked us. I'm big guard.
Come on, Pharisee.
I'm a guard, sir, not a Pharisee.
Yeah.
Okay, the Pharisees. What was the question?